my friends. It's been a wee while. Welcome back to my channel, our channel. And I thought I would read you a short story that I wrote. It was suggested a couple of months ago. I think in one of the live streams somebody said that I should read a short sci-fi story, and I didn't really find one that I liked, and there's always copyright. And things like that to deal with, so I thought I would write one. Now it's a wee bit dark. It's definitely got some adult themes in it, and there's a wee bit of bad language, so consider yourself duly warned, okay? I'm sure you won't mind. Also, bear in mind I'm not a writer, so I've probably made a ton of technical writing mistakes in this, and it's really more of a concept and it's not finished. If I ever finish it one day, then we'll see. So I'm going to read what I've done, and then you can tell me what you think of it. So here we go. This short story is called The Listeners. There's a crew of 6 on a ship 3.1 light years distance from Earth. Other than rotating to create gravity, the ship is stationary. It came to a rest at these predetermined coordinates almost a year ago, after a journey of approximately 7 years. It's one of the fastest ships the humans have built, with a sustainable cruising speed of just over half the speed of light. An incredible achievement which happened a few decades earlier, when a team of international scientists and engineers had a breakthrough when trying a whole new approach to interstellar propulsion, including acceleration and deceleration. The location of this ship is approximately 7 years away from Earth. A 14-year round trip, if a vessel even had the fuel to make such a return journey, which so far nothing can. This obviously puts them out of reach. They are alone. 6 people are on board. 4 of them are sick and mostly bedridden. "100 years earlier, strong radio signals were picked up on Earth. They came from the direction of Proxima Centauri, 4.24 light years away, the closest star to our own. These signals accelerated over a period of 20 years and then suddenly stopped. The signals were structured, highly organized, with various repeating patterns. Decades of curiosity gave way to this mission, the Elorian mission. The name comes from Star Trek, a cultural phenomenon on Earth in the 20th and 21st century. Elorians were said to be great listeners. This is what the ship now does. It listens. But in 8 years, nothing. 7 years en route and 1 year on station, its antenna pointed and tuned toward Proxima. Nothing. Despite being so much closer to the supposed origin of the signals? Nothing. The stationary home of 6 people just hangs there in the black. As I mentioned, 4 of the crew are sick, and they are losing their minds. Or maybe they're sick because they're losing their minds. Now all the conversations have run out. The library books have all been read. The frustration of no signals is palpable. The boredom is deafening. Distractions are, well, there are none. They stopped the spinning a few times so they could all float around. And that was kind of fun for a week or two, but then it got boring. Now, all 6 of the crew were chosen from a batch of 423 volunteers who wanted to do something nobody had ever dreamed of. They were loners with little or no family, but they were also smart enough to learn and operate sophisticated technology. Because of the distances and time involved, it was decided to send people instead of an unmanned vehicle. The technology is amazing. It probably would have been okay without the human crew. But humans being humans felt that if a catastrophic failure happened en route, well, perhaps a person might be able to creatively think their way out of it better than a computer could. The natural instinct for self-preservation isn't something that artificial intelligence has reached yet. To be honest though, despite a few minor issues, a few computer restarts and software bugs, the journey itself was mostly uneventful. John was looking out of the window at the red dot just over a light year away, wondering what the fuck to do for the 10, 20, the 30,000th time, thinking why did he accept a one-way ticket to just go and sit in the cold darkness for the rest of his life. The months of ceremonies, fancy dinners, and training prior to leaving Earth was fun. They all felt like superstars. But that's a distant memory now. The daily routine was grinding in its repetitiveness. Up at 5 a.m, 10-second shower using recycled water that smelled a little worse with every passing day. Dry, decon spray, system check, coffee sachet, hydrated protein bar. Tastes like shit. Oh, by the way, they have 45,678 coffee sachets left. Yes, John counted them all. Read radio logs, nothing. Lunch, radio logs, nothing. Look out of the window at nothing. 3 years earlier, en route, Arjun decided to realign the transmitter and send a signal to Proxima against orders. They were told it was decided by the Council on Earth not to do this. I guess it was obvious that there was an intelligence there orbiting that star somewhere. Listening was one thing, answering back was another. Perhaps just one person pushing the wrong button could seal the fate of humanity by alerting this intelligence to human existence. Arjun powered up the transmitter to full power. He sent the signal out, a voice signal. He didn't rehearse anything, he just said, Hello? Hello? Nothing. Nothing came back. In 3 years, nothing. The thing with this ship, and all the technology on board, is that it is so basic for entertainment, basic for human interaction, for stimuli, physical and emotional, and yet so incredibly advanced for medicine and for safety. There were at least 4 suicide attempts by 3 crew members, including Arjun, but all failed, not because they weren't serious, but because of the central computer and its array of smart sensors, which would always intervene. Immobilization technology, smart meds that would render themselves inert upon an attempted overdose, things like that. The ship essentially became a prison, a life prison, a boredom prison, a floating, padded cell. After a while, a realization happened. John was approached by Arjun one day. The boring small talk ended long ago. Everyone got straight to the point when speaking, albeit slowly. John, I found a way to end it. To end it all, Arjun said. I've heard this before, John said dozens of times. No, this time I have a solution, a real, final ending for this nightmare. I'm listening, John replied. We go down to the core, pull the pins on the fusion stabilizers. Destroy the ship? Yes. We already tried that, remember? Mary tried to gain access about 2 years ago. The computer stopped her. The computer stopped her because we helped it to, Arjun said. How so? It was in the middle of the night. The rest of us were asleep. Exactly. The system had all its sensors, all its energy, focused on the one person who was awake and trying to cause harm. The computer's pretty advanced. It can handle many different tasks at once. I don't think its attention was any more focused than it is right now, John told Arjun. Wrong. The computer is busy right now. I activated a communications diagnostic as well as a power plant diagnostic. If you look, Arjun holds up a pad. You can see that the main CPU is running at 88%. Memory is at almost 95%. %12 of a supercomputer CPU is still a supercomputer, Arjun. I know, but it's significant. You know it's listening to us right now, don't you? This is pointless. No. I removed the microphones from this room several days ago and terminated the wiring. So far, no complaints from the computer, no mention of it. John speaks out to the computer. Computer, status report. Computer, status report now. No answer. John gets up and walks into an adjacent room. Computer, status report. The computer answers. All systems functioning. Comms and power plant diagnostic in progress. The computer replies. I told you, it can't hear us in here, Arjun said confidently. John and Arjun talk a while longer. and John expresses his deep concern, beyond his own survival, that if they destroy this ship, then any hope of receiving and relaying any future communications from Proxima would be dead-ended. The mission would be a failure. And John uses what little part of logic and reason he has left to conclude that this is simply unfair to the people of Earth. Arjun is suicidal. He doesn't give a shit. John is effectively suicidal too, but he does give a shit. A few more weeks go by. John is thinking more and more about Arjun's idea, and is warming to it. It's at least given him something new to think about, and that is a rare thing. He calls a meeting one day, and everyone, including the bedridden sick, reluctantly make their way to the room. The room with no microphones. He asks for everyone's thoughts, and in the strangest, most pointed and practical way possible, everyone just smiles and says, yes, let's try it. Let's try something, anything. A plan is hatched. A mass suicide attempt has begun. There's no drama, no worries, just simple, practical ABC procedures. The computer is distracted, as per Arjun's idea. All the stabilizer pins are pulled. Arjun doesn't even look at anyone, he just smiles. And after 10, maybe 15 seconds, the ship erupts in a massive, absolutely devastating explosion. Everything is vaporized. Except for one thing. A dark red sphere, approximately 3 meters in diameter, scarred, burned, but intact. It's emanating a sequence of pulses, and it drifts off into the darkness in whatever direction physics sent it. Two years later, on Earth, a meeting is called to determine if the signal they just received is what they'd been waiting for all this time. It was. Finally, after 10 years, the last red beacon was deployed, which means the final fusion reactor must have been detonated. All were surprised that the crew held out for so long. Number 12 were the most mentally stable of all the crews, so it had been predicted that they would indeed be the last to light their beacon, but they still didn't think they'd last this long. It worked out great, since the timer program that would have activated the beacon automatically was disabled due to a software bug en route that Arjun had fixed prior. The other 11 missions and ships overloaded their fusion power plants far sooner, all of them en route. Before the timers kicked in, one of them as early as only 6 months into the mission. That crew were specifically chosen to be the ones to light it first anyway. The psychological analysts had done an amazing job, coordinating the teams by mental instability and mission requirements. The most stable crews ignite their beacons last. The least stable ignite their beacons first, and to varying distances for the other crews in between. Crews 5, 6, and 7 ignited their beacons in the wrong order, but it didn't really matter. Crew 11 held out for 5 years, but 8 years was really long, and Crew 12 were the only ones to actually reach their final coordinates closest to Proxima, and then stay a whole year before, you know. A total of 72 deaths, all of them, despite their psychological problems, would be written into the chapters of human history as heroes. The truth of their demise could never be revealed. Well, the ethics would never, ever be accepted. But 72 lives lost to initiate the deployment of 12 spherical beacons, designed and constructed according to the plans decoded from the original transmissions received long ago. The ships were deployed and destroyed at various locations in roughly a direct line between our solar system and Proxima Centauri. They were sent to listen, but not just to listen. The ultimate goal was, of course, to light the beacons and hopefully draw a line in space pointing towards Earth. A series of massive fusion explosions along with the beacons deployed at varying distances between our sun and theirs, which occurred over several years, did indeed get their attention. It did draw a line. About 3 months after crew number 12 overloaded their reactor, 7 strange dark red spacecraft arrived, each one over 2,000 meters long. Alien, dark, and ominous. They found the closest red beacon. They listened to the signal in their own mathematical language that Earth scientists decoded many years before, and heard, "We, the people of Earth, have heard your message. We understand it and have constructed these beacons according to your plans. We wish to learn. We wish to communicate and form peaceful relations. Now you know where we are. We hope you will visit us if you have the means to do so. We await you. In peace." The fleet of alien spacecraft ignited their engines and set a course for the rest of their armada, which had already intercepted some of the other beacons. And together, they armed their weapons and began the journey toward the small blue planet at the end of the line. The end.